Good day to you all and welcome to the S.H.O.P, the social hub of positivity. I don't know what episode this is, but it doesn't matter. I mean, I'll be shocked, although people do tell me they do watch them all, so thank you for that, thank you for your support, and thank you to everyone that comes in the shop. None more so than this wonderful person. I do introduce people as wonderful people because I've found throughout my time that most people are wonderful, unless you're Pretty Patel, obviously. But this lady here, young Barbara, is quite an extraordinary woman, and I wanted to have this conversation, partly because I'm nosy. We've had sort of conversations before, and I was really intrigued by what she is and what she does and how she does things, and, you know, her history and her future. Ladies and gentlemen, Barbara Beesley, how are you doing?
Good morning, Ed.
Good morning. Good morning. You know, people will be watching this Friday evening, so I just like to be a bit generic about that.
Okay.
Yeah? Just say
hello, Ed.
Hello. That'll do. And goodbye and good night. Well done, everyone. So, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good today, thank you.
Yeah? Mm-hmm. Yeah. How's business?
It's looking up, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had a pretty tough time, like everybody else.
Yeah.
Which is something we can all share.
Yeah.
You know, we've all been through quite a dramatic time, I think.
Yeah.
In one way or another. Some more than others, unfortunately. But yeah, we've managed to keep our head just above water.
Yeah.
Because I've got a good team.
Yeah. Do you want to tell people just why not advertise what a great business you got? I love it. I think how you came about getting it as well and doing it.
Okay. Well, we work in waste management, on the training arm of waste management. So we deliver what is a mandatory qualification for every manager that manages a waste site. That includes you, to use the common term, your dump. Household waste recycling centre is the correct terminology, but even I call it the dump. So everyone who runs a waste management site has to have this mandatory qualification, and that's what we deliver. I have a team of great people. Some have worked with us since we actually started the business, which was nearly 24 years ago.
Well, same here. Yeah, so that's when we started Can Do.
Was it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, there are some coincidences between us, aren't there?
Yeah, absolutely.
We've found that in our general conversations.
Yeah. That whole Will Lawton thing was, wasn't that funny? Remember that conversation about Will Lawton?
Yes.
Yeah, we can talk about that later on. Get back to what you were saying. Good old Will, he was a genius.
So yes, it came about because of the Brussels Environmental Protection Act, because up until then the UK had had nothing that even resembled licensing for waste. So in a sense it was a godsend, but in another it made life very difficult, because they set it at a high level, which made life very, very hard for some folk. There was a lot of writing to be done, and they wrote it in very, very legal language. And so to start with, it was hard, very hard for people. And that's where I came in. I'd been through further education as a hairdresser.
Wow. That's quite a big leap, isn't it?
It was all I ever wanted to do.
Yeah.
My dad didn't want me to be a hairdresser. He said, all you'll ever be doing is sweeping floors and cleaning out drains, and you know, if you do an apprenticeship, and they were hard in those days, totally different to the apprenticeships now, completely different. So I did my homework, and I found one of the very first full-time hairdressing courses, and this was in the mid-60s, and I was fortunate to get a place on that, and that's where I really took off with education, because I was hopeless at school, didn't like school, in fact I hated school.
Don't beat around the bush.
I really did hate school.
But did you attend?
I did.
You weren't a school refuser?
No.
Okay, because we over the years worked with a few of those that can do, and that's an interesting. I get it as well, but yeah. So you went. You still went.
I still went.
Yeah.
But reluctantly.
Yeah. Nothing about school you enjoyed, not even the social aspect.
No. Didn't like it at all. In any way, shape or form.
Where was the school? Where were you growing up then?
South East London.
Yeah.
Woolwich.
Woolwich, yeah.
Yeah.
You're an Arsenal fan?
Yes. Yes. As is my husband.
Good time to tell you I'm a Spurs fan or not?
No.
Okay.
Well.
Because that's actually where they come from, isn't it? Woolwich.
Yeah. Well, as
they're not a North London club at all. They're just sort of.
No.
No, they are from Woolwich Arsenal, South East London.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why we hate them. And that they got us relegated because they came up to the league. But carry on.
Well, as an aside,
yeah.
During the war, they used our school playground as a practice ground.
Oh.
Yeah.
You weren't there, obviously, but you've heard tell.
There.
No. Unless you're talking about the Falklands War, which is in the 82, which I can understand. I can understand you being at school in 82. Not 42. Great. Carry on. Sorry.
So, I joined this full-time hairdressing course, where I absolutely flew. And it taught me so much that I could transfer to many other skills.
What aspect of that? What were the transferable skills that you could?
Well, the biggest one for me, believe it or not, I was a very shy child, and I think that's part of why I didn't get on at school. I had one special friend, and that was it. My best friend was outside of my school. She went to the grammar school, which was across the road. We called them, if I'm allowed to say it, the Brown Knicker Brigade. Because
oh my God! I can only think why.
Because their school uniform was brown, and ours was navy blue.
Okay, good. I'm glad we cleared that up. Yes.
You can take that out if you want.
No, I think this is going to be the highlight of the interview, personally. Oh, for me. Oh my God, that is so childish. But carry on.
So, the communication was the biggest thing.
Yes, yeah. That's it, isn't it? In most walks of life, that's the essential ingredient, isn't it?
Yeah. And it taught me how to deal with all different types of people from all different walks of life, and that stood me in good stead. It was after that I owned my first salon.
Wow. How long?
20.
Yeah, but how many years is that then? Since when you started the apprenticeship or whatever it was to get your first salon?
I was 16, so I was 20.
Yeah, 4 years. That's not bad going, is it? 4 years? How did you afford that? Do you mind me asking?
Sorry?
How were you able to, do you have to lease it or that?
I leased it because my parents had always been in business. So my dad was then a great supporter of me, and he helped me with the accounts and that sort of thing. But I just adored hairdressing. Just adored it.
Yeah. Such an interpersonal thing as well.
It's
that whole, you know, touching and...
Yeah, it's tremendously personal.
Yeah.
I mean, people will tell you things they wouldn't tell their priest. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And it has to go in and stay in until the next time.
Exactly. Each one's just a little... They expect you to... And I guess when you're particularly good at it, you do have that interpersonal relationship.
Yeah.
You are involved in their lives. They tell you there's a certain amount of things they'll tell you and have that ongoing conversation. It is a lovely thing, you're right. I used to love it. There's a barber in town. There's a couple but who are really good, but there was one lad, we call him Loaf, but Tom was absolutely Dickie's Barbers up on Park Lane. I used to say to him, can I just come here just to talk to you? Because I would be in stitches. I mean, literally, because he'd come here. No. He was such a brilliant way with people, and his conversations, he'd tell you his life story, the funny bits, or actually anything. So it is a special gift to be, and then of course you've got to follow it through by making people look mildly decent when they leave.
Yeah.
So that's two good things, psychologically and physically you can make. Do you ever have any disasters? Do you ever have any hair disasters? Not you personally, but you know, when people are angry or people
I've seen a couple.
Yeah.
I've had probably half a dozen where I've had to shampoo the hair out and then start again. But the one that sticks in my mind, and it wasn't me, I was working for a guy, and he was doing cap highlights. So you put on a rubber cap and then pull the hair through. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And I heard him ask for the peroxide to mix with the bleach, and I thought, oh, that's sounds a bit high to me. But he'd been hairdressing for years, and I'd only been for a very short time, and then it came to me to shampoo it off. He asked me to do that because I'd had a client cancellation, and as I started to rinse the bleach off, with the bleach came the hair.
No. How much?
All of it.
No.
Not all the hair under the cap, but all the hair he'd pulled through.
Yeah.
And bleached it all. It just fell into the basin.
Oh my goodness gracious! How'd you get over that? What?
I did. Well, I was horrified.
Yeah.
And I just quietly sort of did that. And he looked horrified as well. So I left him to it.
It's still there now, picking up hair. But back to the positive aspects of it, that interpersonal communication, as you say, and that you're quite intimately touching someone's body, aren't you?
Oh yes, yeah. And to this day, when someone puts their hands on my head in a hairdressing salon, I can sense straight away whether they're going to be any good or not.
Wow.
It's just amazing. But I developed, and I have to say I did, you know, I don't know whether it's something natural that comes up, but I developed a way of sensing how people were the minute they walked in the salon, if they were happy, if they were sad, if something had happened that day, or you know it, and that I think came with getting to know people, And I also got involved with, when I was in the salon, with two families who had children who were, one was autistic, and it was very new then. We didn't know a great deal about autism. It had just been flagged. And another who had cerebral palsy. And I found that my girls in the salon were worried about working with them. They didn't know how to work with them. And we just treated them like anybody else. You know?
Yeah, that's it, isn't it?
Chatted.
Individual relationship, isn't it? Yeah.
And I did this by example, really. You know, not telling them what to do, but I worked with these two young people, and they watched me and learnt in that way. Nobody taught me that. I don't know how I knew it, but somehow I seem to be able to do that.
Which is quite, do you mind me saying, it's quite interesting that at a young age you had one special friend in school, one special friend out of school, didn't really enjoy school, because for me school was more about the social aspect. We moved around with Dabs and the RAF, so we moved around every sort of average 3 years. So you had to either learn to make friends really quickly or carry a big stick. We did both, and we learned to make sticks quite quickly. Shillelaghs. But you kind of, even though you're anxious, you're nervous, whatever, there's a certain set of skills that you learn, body language, etc. Now, when you're a hairdresser, and a successful one, and I think successful hairdressers, however you want to describe yourselves, barbers, whatever, have those two incredible skills, which is listening, ability to listen, and to build a relationship quite quickly, because it's so important, isn't it? You just don't, because you don't want your head and your image and your self-respect or whatever it is, self-image, to be left in someone who doesn't care about you. When you were saying you can tell automatically if someone's going to be quite good, I think when you find a good hairdresser, you want to stick to them, don't you? Because of that, it's kind of but that's incredible that you didn't seem to be at a younger age, unless, but didn't you ended up in pubs and stuff as well, didn't you? So you've always been around people. You're a people person, is what I'm thinking. Yeah. Is that one of your main attributes, you think?
I suppose, because when my dad came home after the war, he had a friend who was able to help him find a big house to rent, and my family on the maternal side are all Belfast Irish, and they all ended up living with us at some point. So I was surrounded by family.
Okay. So that's it. So you're part of a tribe anyway.
Yeah.
So so you're quite confident. Yeah.
And my grandmother was a great talker.
It's not like that. The Irish people being great talkers.
Yeah. And then, because my parents were publicans, I wasn't ever allowed into the pub when they were open. But we had one pub in southwest London. The Fimbra.
Yeah.
The Fimbra Arms.
I've been in there. You lived there. It's so coincidental. This is the other coincidence.
Yeah.
For all the pubs in the world, this was what was lovely. Because isn't it funny? You say, so I said, what part of Southend? And we went down and we went, I thought, wait a minute. And there's a pub theatre, which is one of the earliest ones. It's in the Fimbra, but a beautiful boozer. You live there. I love that. I've thought about it since. I know I'm a bit sentimental, but I think, my God, you were a kid growing up in that space.
Yeah.
Lovely. Carry on. I've got a little bit carried away there.
Yeah, so I mean, I didn't take to strangers well. As I said, I was quite a shy child. Men scared me witless. I don't know why, because no one ever hurt me, harmed me. I just wasn't good with men that I didn't know.
Probably a good attribute, don't you think, in a child? Particularly female?
Yes, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I believe so.
But do you not think that's connected to you also having that? Because some people describe it as an energy, don't they? So later on in life, you were a hairdresser and you could tell when someone walked in the door. It's an energy thing, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes. Part of it's physical, but the other bit's, I don't know what field of what we'd call it, auras or whatever, but there's a sense of, and particularly to get to know them, but that's interesting. So you had that from a young age, that kind of looking and
yeah. I mean, I must admit, when I first met you, for instance, I felt completely comfortable.
Wow.
Completely comfortable.
Oh, bless you.
No,
yeah, sure.
Truly, and I'm not flanneling you. So, you know, I tend to trust what's in there.
Yeah.
One thing that you said there just now about listening, and that is a skill in itself, because I know so many hairdressers and have known so many hairdressers who would appear as if they're listening, but they're not actually hearing what's being
There's a
said.
big difference, isn't there?
There is a big difference.
Massively.
Yeah. And you know that by how they don't interpret what the client has asked for.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's something that I impressed on my staff and on my children.
Yeah.
So I went on, when I was 27, I then went back to the same college and taught part-time.
Nice.
Hairdressing.
As a successful, someone who'd made it, someone who got their own business, went back in. It's perfect, isn't it?
It was like
they're the best type of mentors, I think.
Well, it was like going home.
Yeah.
Because by this time I'd got both my girls, and I had to try and fit in around them with school and holidays. And in those days, it was a perfect fit.
Yeah.
And that I had a great mentor there. I took my very first professional qualification.
Wow. What was that then back in the day?
It was the 730, which was the very first teacher qualification in further education.
Wow.
And I didn't think I'd be able to crack it, because I wasn't academic. I'm a very practical person.
Yeah.
And if I start a task, I usually start the other end, where anybody else would start with the books or being taught the theory, but I start with the practical
I know what you
bit,
mean. Yeah.
back to front.
Yeah.
And that works for me.
Yeah. So kinesthetic learning as well, when you kind of need to see it. Yeah, I'm very much like that.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not very good at anything, because I can't really learn unless I see it happening. Kind of pick up the quite quickly.
I can't. I have to see that practical aspect.
Yeah.
I used to drive my dad potty, because if he gave me something like because he was a radio and TV engineer originally.
What? Radio and TV?
Yeah.
What year was that then?
Well,
radios, of course, but 30s was that? I mean, no, sorry. When did television become a thing?
Yeah. After the war.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
The very early 50s.
Like all those Bush models and what have you. Yeah.
And he ended up in the army in the Signals Corps, out in the middle in the Far East.
Yeah.
Which was wonderful, because it gave him his first job with a company called S.H.O.P, which
Doesn't ring a bell.
it doesn't exist anymore. It was taken over by another one of the big TV companies, but black and white. And we always had a TV, and my favourite was the Flower Pot Men.
Yeah, but see, I remember the Flower Pot Men, but obviously not when they first came out. Yeah, a blubber.
Yeah, you shrubble.
Yes, little weed. Yeah, you see? That's why we're like we are, Rebecca. We didn't have all the things that you had yet. We had black and white television, 2 lads in a flower pot and this girl flower. What? But it was in colour though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's
No,
not the same.
The original black and white.
Yeah. And Parsley the Lion. What was that? Remember Parsley the Lion?
No.
No, not in Bill and Ben. What was that in? Up his garden. What is it? Everyone out there, right in. Secret garden. I don't know. Parsley the Lion. No. Carry on. Trip down memory lane.
So I went on to get a full-time job and I took more qualifications and ended up with my B.Ed. And at that point was when my husband took early retirement from FE, further education, and I'd worked with someone in Canterbury College who I got on really well with, and he was leading a team in the new type of qualifications which were being assessed on the job, so moving away from examinations for people who freak at examinations.
Yeah, that's when I did my FA coaches, youth coach badges. The whole idea of going back into a classroom scenario really did us like, this is not what I didn't even want to be judged. I had to do loads of writing, which, you know, relatively. Great instructor, but now I know that they do go and assess you, watching you actually coach, as opposed to you get all this theory, you get all this whatever. They give you some various things to practice and do with you, then come back with this, and then they assess you not with young people, but with other coaches. So it's good. That was good to a degree, but I think I much prefer the idea that, because people come at things differently, don't they? The end of the day is you want the best person doing the thing. They know how to do it, but just because they know the theory doesn't mean to say they're good at the practical.
No. And so I was fortunate. By this time, I'd been appointed in a college where I was asked to set up a hair and beauty sector.
Well, from front, wasn't one there before?
No.
Wow.
No, so
that's quite different.
Well, I worked with the county architect, with the drawings, and developed a salon and a whole programme.
Wow, that's something else.
But that had come about by, you know, lots of experiences.
Well, I suppose you've also done the course, you've become a professional, you've gone back into teacher course.
Yeah.
So yeah, not everyone could do that though, could they?
No.
I mean, not everyone could own their own salon, to be fair.
No. So the week that we were supposed to open, my head of department and myself and a couple of colleagues were still painting the salon on the Sunday.
Wow. Wow.
Real hands-on. But it was good. It was good. It taught me so much. And I have been fortunate. Whatever I've done, wherever I've been, has been another learning curve.
Yeah.
And that's just been amazing. And so I finished up at Canterbury College, and I was working with this guy with the new qualifications, and my husband wanted to set up a business delivering these qualifications to people who wanted to assess them.
Right, yeah.
Because it was a whole new concept.
To spread it out.
It was a
so
whole
other
new
people
concept.
go and do it in different areas, yeah.
You know,
Good.
you weren't just going to be teaching it, you were also going to be having to assess it.
Right.
So he started that up, I carried on teaching, and then my friend received a phone call from a local private waste management company, and the guy saying, we've got this new award, so I go back to what I originally said, and we don't understand the language, we don't understand it. Can you help?
What year was that? Can you remember?
Yeah, it was 1996.
So it was all those ISNO sort of, was that sort of, am I right?
Yeah.
All those regulations that you had to,
Yes.
quite really stringent. There was
Yeah.
environmental ones, there were
Yeah.
energy ones, right throughout industry.
Yeah. And during my time in the college, I'd been able to go on different steering groups and development groups, putting together some of the qualifications, one of those being hairdressing, one being building and construction. Yeah. I know. But it enabled me to cross over the skills and take out the actual skill and apply the words in the standard to the jobs.
Yes, I get it.
And that was a great experience.
Again, not everyone else would see that as an opportunity. They wouldn't be able to do it, would not understand it, no disrespect to anyone. It's one of them. You have the ability to be able to. Do you know what I mean? People get caught in their own comfort zones. A lot of us do, don't we? And you just think, well, what's this got to do with that? It's like, no. You can see there's transferable skills. What are the commonalities between each of those things?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So my friend went out to see this chap, and he came back and he said, Barbs, I think, you need to come and talk to this guy. He said, I'm hoping that you can translate some of the language, look at the job descriptions. And I said, waste management? You're joking, aren't you? And he said, no. He said, I really think you can do it. Anyway, I went along, and because some of these folk had been in the industry for many years.
Yeah.
I'm talking 20, 25 years. But so many of them had bumped off school, they didn't have a qualification to their names, bless them. Some struggled with reading and writing. So academically, that they struggled. And having chatted to some of them, I thought, I just don't know if I can do this. I really don't know. But my friend convinced me that if I worked with him, that we could do it between us. And that's what happened. So I finished up working with one of the managers, two of the managers, for 18 months, going round the sites and learning the different job roles. I mean, not learning per se to actually be able to carry out the job role, but learning what the requirements were and how to fit them with the standards. So that's how I started in waste management.
Wow, so basically you were really just doing someone a favour, so help someone out.
That's all we were doing.
But I guess once
that's just it. And as I say, I doubted very much that I could do it, but I did.
But then you had an experience of setting up your own business, obviously learning, I know you went to college, but setting up your own business with all the constraints and everything else and the hurdles you have to jump through, the red tape, etc. Then going back into a college and deconstructing what you know and teaching it. Then setting up from scratch something that had never existed before. So once you get into that kind of headspace, I guess you can apply that broad intelligence that you've got to just about anything. And of course that, and recognising an opportunity is quite a skill in itself, isn't it?
It is, but I think constantly looking out of the box, making sure that you keep this open.
Yes,
constantly.
Yeah.
And keeping this open and applying to people who really don't want to do this qualification. They really don't. And the way, and then looking at me, a blonde female hairdresser, beautician.
Yeah, well, some perks.
Didn't go down well, I can tell you.
Yeah.
Didn't go down well. And I could sense it immediately, the resistance.
You
know.
Yeah.
And the way I got round that was I was honest. And I said, I don't have your skills and your experience and your knowledge of the industry. I told them what I was, what I'd done, and where I came into the equation was that I could understand the language that the standards have been written in, and what I was going to attempt to do with their help was to translate
So you decipher the codes
the language
into their language,
into their
practical understanding of
it, and
wow, that's a skill in
and
itself.
the job,
and
their job.
Wow, that's like a code breaker.
Well, I wasn't going to tell them how to do their job,
no, of course,
because I couldn't.
They
I wasn't able to.
Yeah, and that's. But I've gone into a lot of industrial settings to do training around sustainable or corporate responsibility around environmental impact. So with big petrochemical companies, paper mill up in D-side, massive, great people. But you're right, I go in there looking at from the sustainable development aspect and also communication. What is it that the chief executive wants me to try and get across to his crew? Where are the areas of conflict? Where are the areas of resistance and hurdles and law and whatever? And then interpreting that in a theatre piece, forum theatre. Imagine that, you've got a load of management and going, sorry, what we did? Going away for a weekend with this lunatic up in Wales, and him and his crew were going to, they're acting out what our daily, because I went up and inspected their areas and, in their factories and looked at it, observed it, and then wrote this piece. And they were shocked. They were shocked that I could represent their relationships actually and how they worked. But the important thing about the forum theatre thing was, so you do the scenario once, say it lasts 10 minutes, and then you run it again. And the second time, the audience get to interact and say freeze, and then they tell you what's wrong or what could be put right. Right? Well, at that point, I usually get them out. By the time I finish, there are no actors left on the stage. They're just all the people from the company, all communicating around this thing just like they should when it's at its best. And of course, they go with it thinking, wow, wait a minute. So it's never, I know what you're saying, the idea of like, hey guys, I am not here to tell you about petrochemical companies. PVC was one big thing we did. Not the minutiae of those jobs, but the bits around problem solving and communication and understanding what the issue is. Of course, you like yourself, you can go, well, it's the same in all these different industries or these different environments. So yeah, I'm with you on that. And that's a skill in itself, isn't it? Putting people at ease in their environment, to honour them as accomplished people, because again, like you said before, if some of them don't feel they can read and write, they struggle with that, they aren't academically but are really good. I mean, I don't know about yourself, I would always have ability over qualification every day.
Yeah,
show me a load of the qualifications and I'll go, I struggle to read that, But show me what you can do, like we said before, kinesthetic learning or whatever it is. It's like, yeah. So that's interesting that you were able to, because that's it, isn't it? It's bridged the gap between their perception of you and who do you think you are from your background, thinking, well, we spent 25 years doing this. It's like, no, that's not the point. That's not what I'm here to do, is it? I'm here to help you understand what this third party wants you to tell them that you understand, which is amazing.
Well, you know, they offered me CVs for all of them, and I said, no, I don't think so. You know, thanks for offering. It would have given me an insight. But for me, it was better that I didn't know anything about them, because that kicks off the conversation. Yeah. Okay, let's go around the room, and you tell me, and then you tell me what you think you might get out of this qualification.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
And most of them were negative, but you know, it was amazing what they achieved, and they all achieved that qualification. But the big thing for me with these people was, you know, affording them the respect that they clearly were due, because they would talk themselves down all the time.
Yeah.
I'm only.
I'm the only the person that looks after all our society's waste. Imagine we had to deal with it ourselves.
Yeah, well...
People are often undervalued, don't they? Sewer workers, refuge workers, and always wants to write a column in the paper, always thanking them. Because they're just like, when the fundamental cleaners, you name it, shop workers, you name it, it's the bits that you wouldn't want to do yourself.
No.
We have to spend all our time dealing with without being rude about the word, dealing with our own crap.
Yeah.
Whether it's waste material that we have to get rid of our house or waste material out of our bodies.
Yeah.
Point being is, that's a major part of our infrastructure.
It is.
That without, we would not have the lives that we have.
No.
So fair play to anyone that works in those industries, by the way. Thank you.
Yeah. So, at a point there, I had to stop working for 6 months because I was diagnosed with cancer.
What?
And during that time, I obviously had a lot of time to think. And I came to the decision that I would put to use what I used as an amateur for many, many years, and that was psychology. So I took a degree in psychotherapy, counselling, and I formalised it, if you like.
Yeah. How long did that take?
4 years.
Wow, fair play to you. So sorry, can we just do a little timeline here? So from 16 to 20, so you're 16 you do your apprenticeship, 20 you open your first whatever. What age then did you go back into teaching?
27.
27, right? So 27, then you set up that course. Then what age did you start doing the waste management? And what was happening with your salon when you were doing that?
I'd sold my salons by then.
Salons?
Salons. I had a couple.
Wow.
Wow. And and so I was I taught until I was 55, and that's David was now hold on, I was 50, and he started up his business because he'd taken early retirement, so I was 61, 59, late 50s when we started the business.
And did you then move up here?
No, we were here already.
Oh right, wow, that's cool.
Yeah. So
psychology.
Yeah.
You do psychology 4 years. So let's face it, you got over the cancer, thankfully.
Yeah.
That must have been in itself. I know you use your psychology to help you get over it, but that must have been, as you know, you say you have more time, but it can destroy people, can't it? If they're used to almost being distracted by their day to day, when they've got too much time, this I think it happened a lot in lockdown, in the first element of it, where people suddenly, lockdown was very different for us because of the nature of our work and we're key workers, we were out. All it meant is that we were sometimes taking young people around a town that didn't have very many people in it. It was it was abstract, actually. But bar that, we kind of were doing generally just about the same sort of things. Not doing residentials, obviously. So, but I think sometimes when people didn't know what was going to happen, all of a sudden you sort of look around and think some of the jobs that people had got or some of the industries they worked in didn't seem to be that important. They weren't functioning. There's all this time to think, and I think there's a lot of mental health. I know it because we're dealing with it in this hub on a day-to-day basis. People come in, it's lovely, but at the same time, it's like necessary. You turned up completely on its head. You had a life, life-challenging, life-defining illness, and then you used your strength of character to then go into your mind and actually develop it into a healing.
I think because of the tutors that I had when I was taking my professional qualifications, I'd learned how to stay positive in all sorts of situations. My eldest daughter she's a type 1 diabetic and has been since she was just coming up for 5, and we didn't know much about diabetes in those times. And so I'd have various things go on in my life where I could not crumble. I couldn't because of the girls.
Yeah.
I just couldn't. I had to hang on there somehow.
It's a life definer, children.
Yeah, and it's life that does that.
Yeah.
And you either go under.
Yes. Yeah.
But when you've got children, you can't go under.
I think it's such an interesting concept that we don't certainly talk about it enough in school. Relationship with children,
no.
Parenting, positive parenting. I mean, particularly. Which is bizarre when you think about it, how long we expect our children to stay in school, and yet we don't actually. And I don't blame teachers. Teachers are generally wonderful beings who are trying, like yourself, to pass on good information. It's not the schools. It's the place where, particularly the masses, the majority of children in this country, particularly, are put into a category of kind of being fodder in a way, and we don't look at the emotional, the psychological aspects of people's lives, which are the most important, but none more so than the idea that you are then going to bring another child into your life. And I think this, and I sometimes say it, if people don't want children, that's fine, I get it. People can't have children, that's sad. If they want them, they can't have them. But for people who don't have children, they will, it's like, I guess, like dogs, they never, if you feed them, if you're the provider of their food, they never really become fully adult because you're still their pack leader. And if they don't hunt themselves, they don't fully become actualized. It's like adults. If they don't have children, they don't go through this last sphere of maturity, responsibility, where everything is beyond your own personal needs. And it's really annoying, isn't it? It can be so challenging. It's like, I feel waiting for those pesky kids. Except it's the most rewarding, it's the most validating, it's the most life-enhancing. I know people, parents do go under, and we deal with, unfortunately, a lot of kids in care, and we're happy to do so, because without us, I guess, and the great workers in social services and foster parents, etc., it would be an even worse situation. But it's incredible, the almost like the dynamo of energy that children give you. I mean, way into bits, of course they do, because you want to, and your best if you want to have endless patience. but it's incredible how children enhance us and reinforce our a need to be alive. So sorry, back to you. I also believe that mothers is the hardest job, so carry on in the world.
Yeah, I mean, at the times I would say to people, oh, I really don't like my children, but I love them to bits.
Yes.
Don't like them very much at the moment.
Yeah.
But, you know, the stages they go through.
Of course. Yeah.
My youngest one, she was born with lots of problems medically, so we went through a lot with her. But I think my upbringing with my grandparents particularly had a great influence on developing my personality. You know, character's one thing.
Yeah.
But good old Carl Jung, he was the one that split character out from personality, or personality from character. And they certainly, my grandmother particularly, and she gave me that ability to almost accept myself for what I was.
Yeah.
Not totally, because I ran into trouble with that, but so that has helped me all the way through my life, and learning the real nitty-gritty of psychology opens me up even more.
Yeah. So do you use it? I mean, of course you do it day to day.
Yeah.
Do you do any counselling?
I did.
Yeah.
I did, but
wow. Well, there's lots of strings on your bow, isn't there? You've got a lot going on. I love that.
But I still kept up. The one thing I kept up from my beauty days was my aromatherapy, which I love.
Still do that?
I still do
so
that.
You do, so when you did the beauty things, you incorporated aromatherapy? Do you ever incorporate in your massage, head massage?
I do massage, but I've never learned Indian head massage, and that's a wonderful thing.
Even just getting your hair shampooed by another person.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got to be, isn't it? It's got to be as close as you can get to, you know, an Indian head massage can't be much more. I'm sure it's a really beautiful thing, don't get me wrong. Yeah. What I'm saying is you're still touching someone's head in a sensitive way, and if you know all the different areas, you stimulate different areas like you do with you ever reflexology?
I do reflexology.
You do reflexology, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to see a live demonstration. Joking. I ain't joking. It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you want to explain to people what the aromatherapy, reflexology, and all the other counselling that you do? Because I think possibly more than ever, people are going to need extra bits of help. Hence, we opened the shop so we can try and give that help.
Aromatherapy, it's the oils that do the work, not the massage.
Right.
Because I work with some really high quality oils. And this company, they are American, but they source their oils from third world country. I'm looking for a word.
I think they call it the developing world now.
Yeah, the developing world. Yeah, sorry about that.
No, don't be sorry. Don't be sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, I would know it's the third world, but I get, and thankfully we have lots of younger, vibrant facilitators that can do, who point out to little old Ed, who's a lot older than them. Actually, they don't call it the third world anymore. They should send memos round, shouldn't they, to tell us what the new and rightly so. We need to progress. But I was being mildly flippant now. Just thought I'd point that in.
No. That's
so these oils come from.
Thank you for correcting me.
No, well, bless you for
I needed
well,
to be.
Oh God, you can stick around. You can correct me for the rest of the day.
The communities and what they do, they source the plants because it's all plant based.
Yeah.
And they go in and they set up a plant to process the plants, but what they also do, they give back to the community by creating jobs. They build schools, they build houses. Well, they enlist the support of the community to support themselves.
Yes, and more sustainable.
I've seen the videos. It's just wonderful what they do.
Yeah.
And the quality of the oils is just second to none.
Yeah.
And the oils work through the nervous system.
Right. I see. Go on then. So each there's different oils for different.
Yeah. Different oils for different reasons, and so you have to learn. It takes a long time. I mean, I've been doing this since 1984, when the oils were produced by more or less just one manufacturer, but you couldn't ingest the oils in those days. These days you can.
Right.
So there are a few that you can't.
Yeah.
But most of them you can ingest as well as putting them on the skin, and you can combine the reflexology, which works on the meridians of the body. Sorry, it sounds like a lot of gobbledygook, I suppose.
Well, people can check it out. I love it. If you found something that works, and this is part of the reason to do this podcast, by the way, it's for people to share information. I've done a lot of political ones with prospective councillors and stuff. They're talking about certain issues, but the issues that you're talking about your own life journey, and thank you for sharing that. But also, these are life hacks. These are things that if you were watching this and say, I don't get it, what are meridians? Well, you can check this out. You can check it out about reflexology. If this is the first time you've heard about it, and it's lovely. Think about it. If you hear the first part of your story, you wouldn't the bit about the waste management. You would never put those two things together. And then at the end of that, you wouldn't put psychology and aromatherapy and reflexology. Great journey.
The psychology also supports the aromatherapy
and
the reflexology, because when somebody comes to see you click into click into psychology mode, because you're watching whatever they're telling you their difficulties are. You're watching the body language, you're listening to them, and you're applying that to your analysis and diagnosis of what the person's difficulties are.
Do you do aspects of body language as well, or is that just a natural?
No, that's just.
You know what I mean? Because some people don't. I know that 70-80% of what we communicate is through our body language. Yeah,
well, we that's something that we develop more in psychology, in learning psychology. But I'm just on the point of trying to sell the business now, because I'm a bit past my sell-by date.
Oh, don't say that. But you get another whole career inside of you. I can tell it now.
That retirement thing.
Retirement?
I can't. No,
I was going to say, what does that actually mean?
No, I can't. I could not possibly retire.
It's a waste of. So many people. I get it. If you didn't like your job, right? If it was hard, and lots of mates that work in really hard aspects of the community. Whether it's building, motorway barriers, whatever. It's like hard, and their poor hands and elbows and all the joints. You think, of course, you probably want to give up that and do a bit of travelling and relax, and you've earned it and all sorts. My dad was in the RAF and brother was in the military, all that sort of stuff. You kind of you don't want to be doing that all your life either, even though they had obviously inside that the camaraderie, the band of brothers aspect, absolutely. But it's it's a hard. You don't want to be. Basically, it's not very healthy being shot at all the time. I don't know if anyone knew that. you couldn't, with all that resource of knowledge. I mean, what, you're just going to sit at home and do knitting?
Yeah, well,
Do you know what I mean?
I just, my husband has retired out of the business, so, you know, I've got a really fantastic right-hand lady.
I've heard about her.
Who supports me. I don't know what I would do without her. God,
We could both be saying this at the same time, shouldn't we?
Yeah.
And do you think, I don't know what we'd do without her. Carry on. Yeah.
So, but what I want to do is move through with my aromatherapy and.
Oh yeah, now that I can see.
You know,
that's a great, yeah. I'll put all that into, so you can just tie that into a nice little thing and do that at your leisure.
And
or,
coming
you know
into contact with you and with Can Do.
Yeah.
I mean, I do.
Oh, I can see that, you know.
Through this pandemic, I just feel so sorry for our young people.
Oh, tell me about it. I'm banging my head against the wall.
Yeah.
Try to get the local councillors and the area boards. Just look how they've done things before. It's like, guys, you were not working through the pandemic. You don't work with the hardest to reach. You do not know on a day-to-day basis. I'm having murder with the town council.
Yeah.
There's brilliant councillors, don't get me wrong, in all these areas. But if people heard, and they will because I'm doing a documentary, if they heard the resistance that we get, I mean, you'd think I was trying to set up an illegal drug or a sex shop or something in Chippenham. But the fact that we work with hardest to reach, people that none of these people can work with, and yet they make it so hard. It's like, guys, either learn the better way to negotiate and legislate for our communities, or leave the arena, whether you're a overpaid professional or one of these sort of hobbyist counsellors. It's like, there's no room for that anymore.
No.
We are in such a massive, people have no idea the tidal wave of stuff. Once this real unlock, I mean the 19th, I mean what is going on? I don't get it. Sorry, you just got me on a whole new thing here, because you're totally right. Partly the idea that you would do reflexology, aromatherapy and psychology with us is a massive, beautiful piece of news, because it's exactly what we need. We need more supportive, helpful people, us all working, collaborating to get us through, because we have only just started to unpeel the potential, and you know, there's going to be a tidal wave of everything, and there's counsellors and people that work for the council who think, oh, we're just going to do what we did as normal, and just sort of, it's like, no, that's not going to work.
The new normal is nothing like the old normal.
No that's
way.
Right. That's
and
right.
you know, both my grandsons have autism in different ways, so I've learned a lot through them.
Yeah.
And my eldest he's 20 on Sunday.
Wow, really? Wow.
And they're both high functioning.
Yeah.
But you know, it's essential that we address these issues, because if we don't, we're going to have a whole lost generation.
100%. We're doing our summer school as usual, because again we work with such a diverse amount of, and we work with adults as well, but mainly with young people. And it's like, wow, we were doing it before anyway, because there's obviously a big gap, isn't there, in a 6 week gap.
Yes.
And this is the thing about Marcus Rashford, by the way, just so we're on the subject. Part of the reason we used to do those residentials and summer schools is because a lot of the kids we work with, they wouldn't have anything to do in the summer.
No.
They wouldn't have anything to eat, some of them, if they don't get free school meals. Michelle Donlan, did you vote for free school meals or not? Did you? That's the other thing. Our MPs have should only vote on what the town that they represent, constituency, tell them to. They shouldn't have a free will to just make it up because they happen to belong to a party. It's incredibly. I'm glad. I've got to say, I'm really impressed by you. Anyway, we have lovely conversations, and I've gone, wow. The fact that you're going to do that has lifted me somewhat, because I was sorry. I would get to the bit there where I was thinking, well, I thought you were saying, oh yeah, and I'm selling the business, I'm going to retire. I was like, whoa, what about all that stuff you've learned? No. Not even about the waste management, and that's brilliant in itself. This stuff is gold. We need it. The psychotherapy, the psychology, for your aromatherapy, reflexology, anything and everything that will support individuals and families. Because you're right, there's going to be absolute carnage if we don't.
Yeah.
Moving forwards, when all these senior citizens now pass on, bless them all, what will be left with all that brilliant information, all that knowledge that they've amassed all this time through really diverse hardships. You think about your poor dad coming back from the war and all that he had to, it's like that would be in you. You'll be dealing with a parent that has seen and had those experiences and is moulded by that, and then you then had to go through the various bits of your history and challenges. I mean, it's quite extraordinary, you know. I meet lots of people. We work up and down the country. I've got to tell you, that's for the very first time. It's hilarious, actually, wasn't it? When you first came here to the shop, and however we got on talking about music therapy, wasn't it? Because I was kind of saying a bit of what Candu does, if you like, is that we use all the arts, we use all the...
That's how we got onto Will,
that's
wasn't
it? And we'd only... That, I think, I don't know if it was the week before, we had filmed, and you haven't seen it yet, the Soul Sneeze video in here, and from Cheryl all the way through the town. That will be releasing, and you'll see it when it is, because we're going to do it at the Old Road on the... I was going to say the 21st, the Unlock. Thanks for coming to that.
No,
brilliant.
Thank you for inviting me.
It was good, wasn't it?
Really looking forward to
but
it.
The 22nd's the thing next week, but the August 27th to the 30th is at the bank holiday. We're doing it real, if that's in case everyone hadn't died from pandemic or whatever. We're doing the Unlock Festival that weekend, so we might release that video. We'll speak to Will. But how amazing was that? That's what I love about him, by the way. You love him. I know you do. You're a therapist as well, so you get it. But for me, it wasn't ever just about that he's an incredibly talented person. His musicians, his band of collaborators are incredibly high-end musicians. But it's him. It's the fact that he's a music therapist, the fact that he kind of gets what Candu does. It's like, all right, so you're doing this because it reinforces the work you do with these children or these people and makes them part of a society that has possibly given up on them or possibly doesn't have time for them or doesn't legislate for them. I mean, if you look at our current government, it doesn't legislate for much. But anyway, while we're on the subject, what about Saka? You're an Arsenal fan. Before the tournament, I said he'd be one of the players of the tournament. I was right all the way through. This penalty thing at the end, anyone that can get upset about people missing penalties is ridiculous. The fact that team conceded 2 goals in the whole of the time, but the way they played, more importantly, obviously they've made more progress, they got to the final, but that they have brought these issues to the forefront.
Yes.
And I'm telling you now, Priti Patel, Boris Johnson, all of them, shouldn't just not be in the roles that they should have. They should not be allowed to work or be seen in public, preferably, but not be allowed to have jobs in public office.
No.
They are absolutely abhorrent, and I think that if they do not stop, just go away, it's going to make society even harder. But he's an Arsenal fan. I'm an Arsenal boy. I'm a Tottenham boy, and I have to say, pre the tournament, during the tournament, and now after, Saka, what an amazing human being. Of course, we have the wonderful Tyrone Mings. His family comes from Chippenham.
Yeah.
He's a legend.
Yeah.
But his mum and his whole family are absolutely, and his dad can do out as works at Chelsea FC, etc. But the values of that family, the values of Tyrone, just makes you proud to be around here, doesn't it? I know both of us don't come from it, but I love it, I've got to say, and I think it's been a pivotal moment in society, which reflects on all the other things. I mean, you say, how did you get from that to that? Because A, you're an Arsenal fan, B, we're talking about the new normal, and the new normal is actually England being successful at football. They won't truly be successful, though, until people stop being rude and racist and divisional. But I don't blame racists. I don't know what your thoughts are. I don't blame, because it was invented by elites. Racism is a device that people like the royals, not these particular royals, but that higher echelon of society, they use this divisive these words and point to other people. Scapegoat. It's a real massive thing, isn't it? They scapegoat other people so people don't go, hey, wait a minute, they've got a sex offender hiding in one of the palaces, an alleged sex offender. They don't really do anything for a job and they get multi-million pounds, and yet we're taught, indoctrinated to uphold them, God save them, and we're supposed to be rude and aggressive and to people of a different colour or a different race. I don't dig it and I don't get it. So the new normal, what's it going to look like? Apart from you working with us, helping us out with all our mental health.
It has changed us. You can feel it, can't you?
Yeah.
You can't necessarily see it. It's not obvious to see, but you can certainly feel it.
Oh yeah.
And people are still fearful.
That's why we try to do these unlock festivals. Wasn't for anything other than to try to thank everyone that helped get us through, the NHS, the police, the support workers, social workers. That was the first idea. The second idea was that very thing. What is going to get people coming out? To buy stuff? No, they don't need to. They can do it online. What is it you're going to do? I'd love to know what the Chipman Council think they're going to do to get people out. Come and see them dress up as pirates. That ain't going to work. What you need is people that really work in the community, setting up stuff like this Real Hub without any money from borough lands or the council, doing it with the goodwill and the right intentions, and acknowledging that we have to do things differently. You get that. How can you get it and other people? Some people don't. So a lot of people do, but they are fearful, aren't they? We need to gently get people coming out.
They are fearful. And of course, from the fear comes the aggression.
Yep. Yeah. No, absolutely. Absolutely.
How do we overcome that?
I'm probably going to sue a few people.
You've just asked me the question. You've asked me the question,
I know,
and I've thrown it back to you.
No, well, you've seen us do it. This is what we do. What would you say when you first came in here? What do you like about this place?
I just love the whole ambience. The atmosphere is warm and it's friendly, and there's so much to look at and take your eye and make you forget what's going on just outside that door. Yeah,
and thank you for saying that, because that's absolutely the kind of one of the ideas. Is like, it's in the centre of our town. It's enclosed. Obviously, it's an enclosed thing. We get great working relationship with the Emery Gate people. Eagle One, Jack, and all the guys here are so supportive. So when we've done the in the atrium, doing those live concerts. Well, I don't know if anyone else was doing live concerts and doing the music which we've heard throughout this. People coming in and playing the piano is part of it. So it's wait a minute. I come and go to Tesco's, and here I am. I mean, God bless you. You're buying half the art that's been made here. So we've got good patrons like you. We've got amazing artists. We've got on a day-to-day basis, we have people coming in who now regularly come in to talk. Do you know what I mean? Just to talk. And we have tea and coffee, and we've got the Allotment Society coming here using it as a hub from tomorrow, and bless them, they're fantastic. These amazing artists. Do you know the pleasure of just sitting here talking and then watching Lucia or Lucy or April or Alex or Ray Melody, whoever, do their stuff. Steve Simpkins. It's like, wow, I just opened this portal where people come in and observe not only beautiful bits of art, interesting, intriguing, but actually the artists doing it. And we've only met them since this has opened. So I guess if we'd taken on and we just been Dorothy Perkins, we'd a bit weird sitting here having a conversation in the changing rooms, and we'd never see those ladies do that. Brilliant. So, shall we try and work out how we're going to do some of these sessions? I mean, I'm saying this on camera, but just so I can bring this up and say, one second, pal, you said on camera you were going to come and help us work with these young people, all these people. So we can do it, can't we? We can do it. We've got a nice little link there with young Sam. We can get. I think that's great. I'm so chuffed. Sorry, because I really did think you were going. Oh yeah, I'm selling the business. I'm going to retire.
No. My girls have said, because my eldest daughter, she teaches at Springfield,
which is a wonderful. Just in case anyone doesn't know this.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful
and
school.
my younger one, she's in She's in mental health
Wow.
in the community.
Fantastic. Yeah, I've met them. They're lovely.
Yeah.
That's a good thing, isn't it?
Oh, I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
so incredibly proud of
Yeah.
those girls.
And why wouldn't you be? Amazing.
So
Amazing.
incredibly proud.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, I'm not going to retire, Ed. No.
Good.
And I'd be over the moon if you wanted me.
Oh
to.
no, definitely, 100%. I wanted you to talk to Donna. In fact, I had said originally, surely Donna should. I'm glad she didn't, because I love this comment. I love talking to you. I actually thought that Donna should talk to you because she's a therapist as well. But you can talk to her anytime, can't you? You don't need to do it. I like the whole spread of our conversation because it's so diverse, and hopefully it's going to inspire people out there to think, actually, to recognise opportunities, not to immediately bulk at the idea that, oh no, I can't read, I can't write, I can't just come at it from a different angle.
Yeah. I think for me, the fact that I'm not academic.
Yeah.
I started off, you know, not very well in school. But keeping this open and that open has enabled me
good, isn't it? The mind and the heart,
achieve things that I couldn't possibly have ever in my wildest dreams think that I would be able to achieve.
Yeah.
And my goodness me, I've made some horrendous mistakes.
It's how you learn, though, isn't it?
But that's how you learn. It's no good somebody telling you, well, if you do that, you're going to fall flat on your face.
Yeah. Sometimes you need to.
You need that experience.
Yeah, pick yourself, dust yourself off. Yeah. Well, you are an inspiration. This is kind of why interviewing real people to allow real people to get it, that we all have our value, that we can all support each other. If we collaborate, we will all stand a better chance of winning together. And that's what the government should think, and that's what the local government should think. It's like, where are you in this? Where are you, Priti Patel? Where do you really think you belong morally and ethically? Boris Johnson, I don't know where you belong. I mean, God bless you. I do feel sorry for him. I know people think I'm a joke. I say this on and off camera. The lad has basically, obviously had trauma in his life, and he's dislocated emotionally from the reality of life. He's possibly bordering on, allegedly, or whatever it is, potentially just an opinion on having, attachment issues and being devoid of that.
Yes.
I think he went to boarding school. I think, bless, his mother had mental health issues, allegedly because his dad was having loads of affair, allegedly. But it's just stuff I've been told. I don't know if it's true, but it makes sense that he's so disconnected from the rhetoric that he quite obviously makes up a lot of the time and lies, proven liar. It's like, what's going on? The reality is we've got normal people struggling more than they should, dying more than they should, because they haven't really got their eye on the ball, because that wasn't what their agenda was. It wasn't about protecting people, it was more like milking the bank of the people so that their mates could have contracts in H.O.P and stuff that we don't need. It's absurd. You're not absurd, however, ladies and gentlemen. It's Tracks, isn't it, your company? I'm going to say it there because we didn't mention that.
No.
I think we should mention it because there might be someone out there who goes, I want to buy this woman's company because it's brilliant, and it is. It's really good. Thank you for all your help and support, by the way. And ladies and gentlemen, Barbara Beesley, thank you very much.
Thank you, Ed.
Thank you. Cheers. Thank you, Rebecca.
Thanks, Rebecca.
Cheers. Bye.